And good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you might be around the world. I am Marcus Holmes, and I am excited that you are here on another edition of Love and Stuff. We are here each Tuesday evening at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So thank you, whether you are watching on Facebook Live through the Love and Stuff page, which is our home page, or if you're watching through the Marcus R. Holmes page on Love and Stuff, on LinkedIn Live, on Twitch TV, on YouTube events. Thank you so much for being here. And it would so happen to be today is National Spouses Day. So what I want you to do is turn to your spouse if you're with your spouse and kiss your spouse and say, Love and Stuff said, kiss me back like it was the first time we ever kissed. Come on, make that happen right now. All of you with spouses, significant others, it's National Spouses Day. And I want you to kiss that spouse, that significant other, your life partner, kiss them and say, now Love and Stuff says, kiss me back like you did the very first time we met. I want you to do that right now and give me some likes and loves if you will do that. I'm watching across platforms and seeing people are joining. I see Vicki Johnson Williams. Thank you so much. Geraldine Spooner, I think both of you, this is my first time being able to welcome you to Love and Stuff. It's a wonderful community. I hope you'll stay a while and check us out. I also see Modera Johnson. Hey there, sir. Happy New Year, bro. I see the one and only Chic Cooks, Yashika. She's saying, hey, fam. She's saying, uh-oh. All right, so get those kisses going with that significant other and say, kiss me back the way that you first kissed me the very first time we kissed. I hope somebody will share in the comments, what does that really mean? All right, and folks are joining us. Thank you so much on your various platforms. And so I'm excited that you are here today. And we talked, these wonderful memories come up, and we've been doing Love and Stuff for a number of years now, and we're going to have a celebration. We'll tell you more about that later as you continue to follow this journey with us. But a few years ago, as it would happen, most of the Love and Stuff videos were exclusively on the Marcus R. Holmes page. And in the memories popped up one of the videos that I had a chance to do while I was away on vacation, on probably not vacation, but away. And one of the topics was, what would you say to your younger self about love? We were talking about being in our 40s for some of us, 50s for some of us, 60 for some of us, even 30s for some of us. And thinking, boy, if I knew back then what I know now, of course, you know that song, right? But what would you inform your younger self and then younger people about what you have learned about love? That's what we're going to talk about tonight. And I hope that you will join us here live. I will share in the comments the link so that if you want to join us live, you'll be able to do that live with me. I will share that as the link. Okay, it's showing you that link. And I will see if I can drop that somewhere in the comments. Our senior associate producer, I see it. It popped up. I hope it's a hyperlink that you can just click, though. I'm concerned about that. But I want to make sure that you are able to join us for this discussion, to talk a little bit about the discussion. And so give me some likes or loves if you're in your 60s. Of course, our thoughts and prayers are out to one of our seasoned Love and Stuff members, Marion Satterwhite Gates, who is experiencing some health challenges and was to undergo some surgery. I put it out on the Love and Stuff page for your prayers up. And they did a second, I don't want to say exploratory, but they did in preparation for the surgery and found no trace of the issue or problem. So there was nothing to operate on. Isn't that fantastic? I followed that up with the post that prayer still works. And so I wanted to shout out to her because she's in our 60s club, right? 60s and sexy, right? And so if you're in your 50s or 40s, give me a heart. Give me a heart. If you're in your 50s or 40s, just put a heart in the comments. You don't have to give us the exact number to tell your exact age. Or if you're in your 30s, give me a heart. I don't see any hearts happening yet. I'm looking for the hearts. Okay. I see some amen, some glories. All right. Yeah, you don't have to tell me the number. Now I want you, those of you that are in your 50s, 60s, 40s, okay? I see blue hearts. Bilal, thank you for joining us. Mama V, thank you for joining us. Now I want you to go back 20, 25 years. Arnaldo, all right, good. And he's in the green room. Very good. And some of the other ones who want to join us, come on to the green room. But go back into the recesses of your mind and go back 20 years. And I want you to uncover some of those experiences that you had 20 years ago, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, because that's what I want to talk about. Bella Amore Bettina has joined us. Thank you so much. I hope you will click share and tag someone to join us in this discussion. All right, join us in this discussion. All right, Christina Smith, Bilal Muhammad, thank you both. Coming in at the same time. All right, I wanted to just, okay, cool. All right, give me a chance to come in. Thank you so much. And while I was thinking of that, I wanted to share a few of some things, and you tell me if any of these things resonate with you as things that you may have thought, and now you've learned something different. Your life space has informed you something different. One of them is because you were lonely or maybe starved for affection, you hung on to a relationship for dear life as if you weren't going to ever get another. Has anybody ever done that? That you thought it was your last chance for love 20 years ago. And so you held on to a relationship far too long because you were either lonely or afraid of being alone, or you loved that affection and you were starved for affection. Give me some likes or loves if you've ever done that. That's ever been you in the past. Or even if it's you now. No judgment. You got in that relationship and you was like, I just have to hold on because I don't want to be alone. And I want this affection and I just don't want to, I don't want to let it go. Give me some likes or loves if that's you. Okay. The next, we want to fall in love so badly that we're biased and we look for evidence to confirm that we're in love. We look for evidence to confirm we're in love. We connect, we're so wanting to be in that relationship that we ignore all of the red flags that they're showing us. Anybody ever been there? No judgment. Anybody ever been there? It was red flags. It was flags on the play from day one. But you said, but that's my boo. You said, that's my bae. She loved me. He loved me. It's all right. He yelled at me. He just a little angry. Life is tough for a Black man in the world. He didn't mean it. She didn't mean it to spend all that money. She got daddy issues. She never knew how to manage money. But she sure is fine. And I love when she say, you make me feel safe. Anybody ever been in that? Okay. Just had to add a little extra for myself. We intrinsically construct narratives that connect dots together, even if they're happenstance. You know, you're trying to say he the right one because he go to church and he got a job and he got a place. And those are the things I ask the Lord for in a husband. But he half go to church. He don't really go. He half tithe. He's not really active. His house is in foreclosure because he won't pay the bills. And he on step 3 or 4 at the job. But we're putting these things together to say it's the ideal person because it can't just be coincidental that he got 3 of the 3 things I need. Well, first, does he really have the 3 things, right? But because we want to weave together, we have this human capacity to create and narrate a story, right? We're writing a story. We're the best writers, and we haven't published those books yet, right? So we're weaving together things that don't necessarily connect. Anybody done that? I'm raising my hand. I don't know. And then one of the favorite, we are caught up in the swell of emotions. We love love. We love the idea of love. We love how it looks, how it feels. We love the optics of holding hands. We love the optics of holding the phone all night. Tell me if you've ever held the phone all night. You ain't said much or nothing. You fell asleep on each other. We love the fact that we wanted to spend all that time together, but we didn't learn nothing about each other. We don't know each other's favorite food or favorite color, but we spent all that time together because we love the swell of the emotions. And we think if we have the swell of the emotions, then we have a really great relationship. Anybody been there? Those are ones I saw in a writing that resonated with me because many of them have components of what I thought, well, ooh, I did that 25 years ago. I know I don't look a day over 30, but we'll talk about that later. But 25 years ago, I thought some of these things. I thought if you dotted these specific I's and crossed these T's, it meant you were the one. And being in Christendom, you know, prophets could prophesy you a wife. They would say, this is going to be your wife. That's going to be your husband. And there's no confirmation or anything to it. I'm not slighting the prophets, even though we're in an age where white evangelical prophets said that we were going to have a different president. That's another show. But we want to make sure that it's more than happenstance, right? Bilal says, Grandma said BMW, black man with job, black man with house, black man with Carl. I think, oh, car. I was about to say, wait, this film at 11. Okay, just snoring on the phone, just grasping for fairy tales, that part. Yes. And so I thought I had Arnaldo, so I'll double back to him. I'm going to go to Mama V. Hello.
Hi. And they better get on this in this room.
That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to get them. Yeah.
Let me call y'all out. Just come on.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, that's what you do when you chant. You know how you were the minister of music, Mama V, and you were telling people to come to the choir stand, even though they hadn't made that last rehearsal. It's like, but you know these songs. Come on.
You know this. We singing old songs. Come on.
Come on. Come on. That part. Hello, how are you this evening?
I'm well.
Wonderful. And I read that it's National Spouses Day. So I told some folks, kiss your spouse or significant other, and then tell them love and stuff said, now kiss me back like you kissed me the very first time we met. That ought to be some interesting fun tonight.
They may no longer be watching.
They might not.
Hey, KK.
Yeah, that might be some good kissing. Hello, Howard Holmes. Thank you for coming. Hey, Karen, thank you so much for coming. All right, fantastic. So I want to ask you because you're one of our, I'm going to say, I'm going to put it out there. She's one of our most sought after sexy mamas in the community.
That makes me laugh. But anyway, that's wonderful.
So, sexy mama, think back 30 years. Can you go back 30 years?
Yes.
Okay.
That's cool. Yeah.
Okay. And 30 years, what could you tell that person today that you've learned about love?
That it will only give you what you give. And if you are not clear about who you are, you'll fall for, you'll be bamboozled. And you'll be in that place where you are grasping, like I said, for the fairy tale. And the truth of the matter is, love is work. Emotions are cool, but relationships are work. And they're wonderful when they're right. They're horrible when they're wrong. And so I would say to that person in their late 20s, your 40s are coming.
Okay.
So think about what you want love to look like for you in those times, and not chase this fairy tale of what you see everyone else having. Know who you are and what works for you.
Okay, that's some good stuff. I want to drill in a little bit more. I'm going to have Darren Williams join us. I love it. Thank you for joining us. And I'm going to ask you the same question to go back about 30 years. Can you go back 30? Will you be old enough to go back 30? I want to ask you this, Mama V, and Darren, I'm going to double back and ask you. One of the things that in reflecting, I'm hearing some feedback. That's why I was like, something's going on in the background. Somebody got two devices?
He forgot.
Okay. One of the things I reflected on, I would tell my younger self and tell some younger people, shoot your shot.
Yeah.
Shoot your shot, because I had in my mind, there were certain things that there were a list of things that are rungs that had to be met. But people are evolving.
Mm-hmm.
Got to give people the space to be something different than what you see them today. Can you see them being somebody different in 10 years? Because, and especially in the 20s, and it's arguably said that women mature faster than men. So you could be in your 20s and be with someone your age who's more mature. And so ladies, if you say, oh, he's so immature, but will he be so immature in 5 years? And you got to see if there are these red flags, of course. But I would tell anybody, shoot your shot, because life is not promised. And you can look forward 20, 30 years and say, oh, I wish I had. I would have made a 3-pointer right there. That would have been a 3-pointer.
Autumn just came for you.
What did she say? What did she say?
She said, Uncle, what you know about shooting shots?
Swish. All nets, baby. All nets. All nets. Film at 11. And so that's one of the things I would tell people. And it's really two. One is shoot your shot. The other is where I meet you at today is for a reason. It's where we are today. It is not the end of the road or avenue down which we're going to travel. And if I can be open to the possibility that you will evolve, I might continue down that path. And at any point down that path, I don't see an evolution or I see some red flags, I can get off that road. But sometimes I think people stop and say, oh, it's that one thing. I was talking to somebody the other day. She was like, but he smokes cigars. And I said, which is a big thing for some people. And I said, but honey, you might be the one that makes him put the cigar down. And maybe if he's willing, if you can teach him how to treat you and he won't smoke in your presence, you don't know what that might be if that's the only thing that's in the way. Yeah. Now, if he's like, hey, cigars and me is a deal breaker, that might be a deal breaker. But you just have to be a little bit more. I think I would have been a little more open to all of these little demarcations and hoops and hurdles that people had to make and cross and jump.
Let me kind of answer that, kind of the flip, because for me, I did that, but it ended up being wasted time. You got to know when to exit.
Yeah.
You got to know when you've put in the time, put in the hope, waited to see if things were going to mesh and gel. And you got to know when to click your indicator and get off that highway. And I think that's the other thing that I would say to my younger self: know when to get off the highway, because you miss, it may mean that you take a detour, but that detour might be exactly what you need while you were trying to stay on this road that you thought was the best destination.
And before I go to Darren, Reverend Darren, Pastor Valencia, I get, I know it doesn't mean anything to you, but somebody here might,
I got you.
Your page and be led to something great in love. So I just have to put it out there. But the shoot your shot, Mama V, did you ever miss shooting your shot? Because we talked a few weeks ago, I talked to the ladies about shooting their shot in an assertive way. There's a way to
Yeah.
assert yourself without being aggressive. But so did you ever have any missed shots, opportunities where you're like, dang, I wish I had shot that shot?
Yes.
Yes. I like that. That was a solid yes and no more.
I'm just saying, yes. And that's not a 20-something issue.
Okay.
That's a 30-something issue, a 40-something issue, a 50-something issue. That's an issue.
Yeah. And I think for me, maybe just in my mind, and someone was telling me this the other day, if you shoot your shot younger and you build your skill about shooting your shot, even though it could be more costly when you get older, you just shoot better shots, but you won't stop shooting your shot.
But
right?
rejection is the problem. So I would agree with you that if you have the assertion to shoot the shot early enough, then you are not as devastated by rejection.
Yeah.
And then, but then of course, the spiritual side of me kicks in and says this, that one of the things that I find that many women are, and this is what I would say to my younger self, was expect what you deserve, that someone values you. I think that often, young women have some issues and they don't really value the complete package. And they think that it's okay for them to shoot their shot and have and not expect anything in return. And then they keep shooting and shooting and shooting. And he becomes accustomed to her doing all of the moves.
Yeah.
And if he's responding and she's the only one moving, then that's a red flag that you need to move on. If you shoot your shot and they say, oh, me too, and then the roles change, then there's a shift.
Yeah.
Then good. But if you're the only one, ladies, working this thing, trying to make it be okay, then chances are he's not really that into you and know when to make your exit.
Yeah. And I was talking a couple of weeks ago that shooting your shot for the ladies is really you shooting the air ball lady so that he can do an assist and layup.
Right.
You're not going for the nets.
Yes. You're not trying to do the layup.
You're positioning the ball to go in the vicinity of the gentleman who you want to assist. Or if you hit the backboard, you want him to rebound. Come on, somebody.
Absolutely.
So you really aren't trying
to land the basket. And to land the basket.
Yeah.
Don't just hit the rebound and hit it off. Make the basket.
Yes. And I was going to say, and I got the preachers in the room, so I don't want to make them blush. And if he pats you on the butt, film at 11. Okay. So what a segue to go.
You trying to embarrass us, Darren.
What a segue to go to Darren. What a segue. And so going back 25 years, 30 years, what would you tell a younger Darren about love that you've learned? What would you say? Boy, if I had known back then what I know now.
Pastor, he doesn't mind doing that to us either. Let me just say that.
Not at all.
No.
About I got the preachers in the room, but well, there's there's a lot. One thing I would say is that lust does pay, because there's an enjoyment in lust.
Okay.
And lust, according to the late Dr. A. Lewis Patterson, is a legitimate desire out of control. It does pay, but it is too expensive because love is better.
Yes, sir.
And I would say that to a younger Darren because experientially, I green lighted myself to the point that now, 30 years later, the ability to love committedly is compromised.
Break that down for us, Reverend.
I didn't want to do that, but
both of y'all gonna give answers and you ain't gonna give answers.
yeah, because now it turns into testimony.
Okay. Well, you know how you can not test a lie, but how you can test a
yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie. What I
short.
Okay. What I mean is that I allowed myself to pursue involvement to the degree that when it as at the age to really be able to love committedly singularly.
Mm-hmm.
That's a place 30 years later that I still have to grow and develop.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would also say
so I'm going to ask you, what would you do? So what would you have done differently on the path here?
I wouldn't have been so free in relationships. I wouldn't have engaged in so many relationships before, just flat out, simply.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'll say, let me say this: the issue about shooting shots, and even though that was the case, you know, having such involvement, I still missed opportunities to shoot my shot, which would have precluded and prevented me from messing up so bad otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are beautiful women that would have helped my life, that I would have helped their lives.
Mm-hmm.
I passed on.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't shoot my shot.
Mm-hmm.
Something else I would have said to me then, a 30-year-old, no, I wouldn't have been 30, but 30 years ago me, is that love is really worth it.
Mm-hmm.
That love is really worth it. And somebody said it takes work, and it does take work, but love is a risk.
Mm-hmm.
And the risk is worth it. What is the risk? Every relationship requires risk.
Mm-hmm.
There's no guarantee that the parent is going to love the child the way they should, or the child the parent. There's no guarantee that the teacher is going to do what they need to do with the student, or the student with the teacher. And relationship is no different. There's no guarantee that the one you love, the shot you shoot, the one you reach out to is going to reciprocate that. But it's still worth it. It is still worth it.
Yeah, I was having a similar conversation earlier in the inbox about people not capitalizing on the risk. And I'm wondering, and I want to ask this question, do you think the more that we age, it's like insurance, the more costly it is? As you get older, insurance costs you a little bit more. Do you think that we are more risk averse in love as we get older?
The answer's got to be yes to that. And the reason is because, you know, we get, there are more things that we add to what we even, our deal breaker, list of deal breakers, the things that we are attracted to. We've refined, in some senses, what we actually do like, which means that what it takes for us to get into and work in a relationship, that assessment, that goes up higher. It really does. I believe, yes.
Do you think we should work to be more open about those deal breakers as we get older?
I think obviously, yes, that's true, but I don't think that's the primary openness that ought to happen there. Mm-hmm. What I wonder, as I have kind of watched across the years and tried to learn, is the degree to which people don't know themselves. Mm-hmm. I think the primary openness would have to be me being able to show you the real me. Mm-hmm. We've become experts at showing the projected us, who we want people to think we are, and even who we think we are. That's not really who's underneath the skin. Mm-hmm. But to know ourselves first and then be open about telling, you know, and showing who we are, scars, scales, and all.
Got it. So the exploration and journey of self, you would say to
Sure.
yourself 30 years ago, that get that
Get
first.
that
That's
done.
the principal thing,
Yeah.
right? Get who I am and my authentic self so I can bring him or her forward
Sure.
so that I can shoot my shot, not pass up shots, stop shots fired in the wrong direction and all of that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you would tell your younger self, and I would venture to say you would tell young people that same thing, right?
Surely. Yes, of
Okay.
course.
Those that are in their 20s, especially, and 30s too, because people are waiting later to start dating and look toward love. They're going more into careers. They're buying dogs.
Sure.
Autumn is telling me I've got time to get married. I'm like, yes, you do, but I don't know if I have a lot of time to be the grandpa. So I need you to, I want you to be thinking about these things. She's like, oh no, I have time. Whatever that will be. But the journey of self is the one that's really important for you to begin to shoot your shot. Do you think that journey? And I'm gonna bring Christina in to join us. Thank you for joining, Christina. Do you think that journey is shorter, longer across gender? I want to ask you both of that. I'm just exploring. Does it take a man a little bit longer to come to this awakening and reckoning, or does it take a woman a little bit longer? Should they be starting a little earlier? I'm just wondering. What are your thoughts, both of you?
I think that women are encouraged to get there quicker because we're encouraged to deal with what's going on the inside of us. We're encouraged just by culture, by nature, to deal with. I'm not saying we always get the right answers or we always do it right, but I just believe that we're encouraged to at least be in touch with who we are
across the years and trying to learn.
And maybe that's just, like I said, that's something cultural that we're encouraged to do it. And I don't think men are encouraged to be in touch with their feelings and their emotions and what they want, that there's something about having the harem that's a part of the manly man thing, and coming to grips with who that is and feeling those, I'm just keeping it real, y'all. Preacher and no preacher, we've all lived some of these things.
Sure.
That there's something intrinsically guilt-ridden for women after the one night stand that men don't necessarily have.
Yes. And before I bring in, even though I brought in the beautiful
Christina, hi,
owner of Power Money Twos and ambassador of Love and Stuff. Look at that Love and Stuff shirt. I want to make
that, Christina.
That love spread like a pandemic. You can get that shirt just like Christina did. Let me go to the comments really quickly. Preach, Darren. Oh, that's Valencia. Lust costs too much. That might be our hashtag, no matter the age. Very expensive, Yashika says. Latressa, I hope I pronounced that correctly, says baggage. The representative, yes, we talk a lot about that. Thank you, Mama V. Love is risky and makes you vulnerable. As you get older, there is more to lose. I want to challenge that for a second. I think that might be true, though. That might be true. You might have amassed more, or you might need to be in the place to lose more. I don't know.
Your emotional investment has collected as you age, and so there is more to use emotionally.
Yeah, and I'm thinking on the opposite way. If you don't make those right risk moves earlier, it could cut the trajectory of where you get to when you're older. Is my thinking. And so,
how you that has validity.
Yeah. Yeah. How you shot. I mean, yeah. I'm just, yeah. Yeah. I'm just looking at, relationships and potential relationships. I'm like, yeah. So Christina, thank you for joining us. I'm so glad you came. And I think you're the only one on the panel. I think you've been married twice, right? Twice? Yes. Okay. So you got a whole different perspective because you were a little younger when you got married the first time. right?
Yes.
So I'm interested to hear, what did you learn? Because I know that you're like Valencia. You got these suitors all in and around places.
Me.
You know, it's the eyes of the Lord that are in every place, but Marcus is seeing some eyes too, you see.
Yes, you have.
Yes. And
Well,
so what's different now, or what would you say to that, Christina, that was a young bride? What did you learn? What's different? And what would you inform her? What did you learn?
you cannot change anyone, no matter how much you try. Accept them the way they are. Either you love them like that and be supportive as far as the change they might want, but definitely don't try to put the round peg and beat it into the square hole. It's not going to work. I don't care how much you try. And I'm going to say this though, but keep hope alive, because fast forward till now, my ex-husband and I, we were friends before that. As you know, we knew each other before we were married, and we're friends now. It just won't go away. We just click as good friends. But fast forward, he has became some things I knew he would be back then.
Okay.
But it took that time for him to see it. Let me just say that. And I was like, oh, this is good. So I knew, okay, just because you know it's in that person, you see them, you love them. Ooh, this is gonna be great for the family. They're gonna need to want that too. And so me being the person that was pushing the drive and pushing the other person's dream and making them who I thought they wanted to be did not work.
Yeah.
And now it works because he figured it out for himself. And I was disappointed because I had so many hopes and dreams for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I was hoping and dreaming for me. I'm a hope and dream for you too. So it was a mistake. But I'm glad it happened. The red flags I've ever had helped me complete myself.
Okay. And Valencia was saying something earlier about knowing when to get off the road. And so you've gotten off the road a couple of times. What would you say to other younger women or your younger self about staying on the road? Because you're saying you were nurturing and pushing. How did you come to that determination of, okay, it's time to get off the road? And then looking back, are you happy that you got off the road when you did?
When I decided to get off the road, I was fed up. I was fed up with myself. I was fed up with the individual not being this Prince Charming dude I wanted. I was fed up with a lot of things. And I talked to my brother one night and he said, when you're tired, you're going to be tired.
Yep.
You're going to be done. So I was like, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of that. He said, no, you're not. You're still there and you're still tolerating it and you're still doing the same thing. So you're either going to change course in your life and accept this, or you're going to get tired and you're going to stop. And what happened was I said one day, I'm tired. I need to stop because it started affecting me. I started accepting things I never would have accepted. I started doing things I never would have done. And it really made me tired. And like Miss Sutton said, my spirit was tired. Everything was tired.
Somebody just said that.
Yeah. It was. It broke me. And then I had to look at I have children. I were young. And I'm like, well, if I'm broken, where are they? So I had to stop focusing just on me selfishly, which is good too. But then I did not include other people's feelings. I'm like, oh, woe is me. My heart is broken. This isn't working. And so I got tired. I got fed up and I said, I got to go. Then I started feeling better about myself because I started learning about myself. So during the process that I was not, if you want to call it happy or satisfied, everything I tried, marriage counseling, prayer, the pastors, everything I tried just did not settle my spirit. And I just could not. And I'm going to say this, I turned into someone else. I was not me anymore. Okay. And I was like, I need to get back to Christina. This is Christina.
Got you.
So I settled and became comfortable with what was happening. And it turned me into something else that I did not want to be. And I accepted it only because I said, I took vows, and my father is a pastor. And I did try all the avenues. I didn't just jump ship and say, oh, well, I tried everything. And the other person tried everything, and it got too toxic. And we both turned into different people. We were not who we were when we met each other anymore. And that was very bad. And it was not great for the kids either. So now, even that we are apart, is actually better.
Got you. Okay. We're talking to Valencia Etner, who we call Mama V, Darren Williams, and Christina Smith. We're talking about if you knew back then what you know now. We're talking about love.
The what, when, why, and how.
Yeah. If you're just joining us and you have a spouse, it's National Spouses Day. So listen, this is what we want you to do. We want you to kiss your spouse if you're with your spouse, and then say to your spouse, now Love and Stuff said, kiss me back like the first time you ever met me. And we'll see if you'll still be hanging in there with us or if you'll have a different night. Okay. All right. Autumn Nicole says, this is good, taking notes. That's right, sweetie girl. Take some notes.
Take notes.
Great content. Yes, Christina, you can't change them. This is what Bilal is saying. Evolution happens at the individual's pace. Very good. Is it Charmaine Walker Sutton says, my pastor told me it's time to leave the relationship when you feel as though you're
same thing. Christina said it when she was saying it. She put that in there with Christine. Absolutely. Marcus, can I respond to the question you asked just before you brought Christine in about men and women maturing at a different pace? Those weren't your words, but
yes. Just give me 1 second just to introduce a few more folks who have joined us. Yes. Okay. Tammy Johnson Matthews, thank you so much. I think this is your first time joining us. Thank you so much. Pat Sampson has joined us. Michelle Pryor, Carmen Evans is here, Vina Sayers. Thank you all. Hope you will click share and tag someone to join us in the discussion. Okay, thank you, Darren, for your patience. Go ahead.
Yes, Valencia said it this way. She said that emotionally and socially, she said that she believes it's true that women mature at a more rapid pace. And I have to add to that, it is also, and she mentioned it too. She said that to some degree there's a natural element to it, which is absolutely true, and there's a spiritual element to it too. What do I mean? God created men and women differently in that way. Watch this. He creates man, he gives him a job, and then God says it's not good that the man should be alone. He's not thinking about nobody else with him. He's not thinking about anything else. But when he creates the woman, what does he do with her? He brings her right to the man. And so her orientation to beginning is to be with him. His was to work. And so these other ideas, I mean, so in terms of the maturity rate, the women, you know, the how women actually do mature in those ways more than men, it's the way God did it. God literally did it that way. Gotcha. And so we can't begrudge that. We shouldn't begrudge that. We should understand that and let that be okay. Let me say this other very quick thing, because you talked about the knowing yourself. Do you know that the first dictum over the temple wall in Egypt, the first instruction that was ever given educationally was what you said, which is know thyself. What does that mean? So that in relationship, it's got to be primary that we know ourselves, because the degree to which we know who we are and they know who they are, that's the only degree to which the relationship can bond and build together. But in all of life, the very same principle is true. You got to know yourself, and how far you go and how well you are when you get there is based on that dictum. Relationship is no different.
Okay. And I was going to ask, and before I forget, I was going to ask, So the man is defined by what he does or learns an orientation by what he does, the work. Does a woman learn her orientation by what she thinks her role is in relation to the man? And is that problematic?
Not by what he does.
I like what
Not
he
by
does.
what he does. It's who he is. It's what work represents for him. And what is that? Man is created in the image of God. God creates him and gives him a job because that is how God operates. That is who God is. That image is one that is productive. It's not that it's what he does. It is that he is productive. He is one that produces. He makes things happen. That's how God made him to be.
Well, I'm going to quote Reverend Neil C. Smith, Dr. Neil C. Smith, my father. He said, the man is the head and the woman is the neck that the man turns. So you can't turn, you can't twist, you can't move because the woman will direct you, hopefully will be a guidance with you and won't let you turn or twist or do something wrong. So I guess in that regard, we are a helpmate. But I'm just quoting.
Okay.
And this has to do with that. And in that regard, there's something to be said about the rest of that story, in that the analyzing, the analyticalness, the being able to look at the situation and see what it could be and couldn't be. While the man is on the trajectory, it's the woman who's looking at the atmosphere, because that's just who we are. We're looking at it and saying, oh, it could be this, it could be that, he could do this or he could do that. How can I, press this way?
Right.
And I think that when we all know ourselves and can respect that in one another, it changes things. People get very upset about some of the words that come into relationship talk in the church. And I understand all of that issue. But on the front end of that, there's a mutuality that is talked about. And in the mutuality works when everybody knows themselves. And then that person that is with you, you don't have to worry about, the foot on your neck or everybody knows who they are. And they came to this as those people. So we don't have to fight over roles. We don't have to be in competition.
Exactly.
We're on the same team.
Exactly.
And so I think that that's something I would teach my young spiritual self. That hearing those words didn't mean you had to push against them. It meant you needed to know yourself enough to know that when that person came into your life, it would not be a struggle because it would be mutual.
And when that's the plane that the two are on, when they're on that even keel, that even plane, the language is not about changing somebody.
Yeah.
The language and the concept is growing.
How do we
help them grow, how they help me grow, and that's building together.
Yep.
I've been to, like I said, marriage counseling, and one thing that stuck to me, because I agree with a lot of things, but that I could share with someone that made sense to me, was that there are people that have been married 25, 30, 40 years, and they're still getting to know each other. So you cannot expect to really know someone, and I guess it would be up to you to push it to be more, inviting or giving to really know someone that fast. But they said, believe it or not, you got people still learning each other after 10, 15, and 30 years of marriage. And it actually is good because they're still growing together. One thing that I did have an issue with is that my age with my ex-husband. He's about 7, 8 years older than me. And so I was 30, and he was 37, 38. And then so when I got 40, okay, and he got a little older, 47, 48, he's like, you don't do the things you used to do. You know, you don't wear lashes like you used to do. You don't giggle when I say that or pat your butt like we used to do. And I'm like, well, we in 2 kids now, and you know, stuff like that. It changed. I changed as a woman. I had evolved differently into, you know, my womanhood, because like you said, I got married fairly in the earlier age. So he's like, I had to step back and say, oh, okay, yeah, because he had changed in different ways that I accepted. And then when I had started to change and drop off the cuteness and stuff like that, I was wearing the bonnets to bed, and you know, the lingerie went away. You got the holy pajama pants now. You done seen me. We've been married now this long. It's okay. He's like, well, you know. So I had to go back sometimes on date nights. That's where the date nights is important in the marriage, because you can go back to.
I'm going to jump in because I don't want to give no mental pictures necessarily. but are you saying you went back to
lashes,
more lingerie for date nights only?
It wasn't really necessarily lingerie. I guess get your head out the gutter, Marcus. It was more like I converted back to the cute me. You know, I was wearing bonnets, and I wasn't wearing lip gloss no more. I wasn't wearing, you know, I only when we went out, you know, and stuff. But before
you said the pajamas, and so that's why I asked that.
I said pajamas with the hole in it. You know, I was wearing the bonnet with the old school, you know, you've been wearing these pajamas for 50 years. And he was like, what is this? You know, so
okay.
I'm like, wait.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna come back to that. I gotta wrap my mind around it. I want to go back to what would you say to a younger woman who is her ideal of know thyself is around her relationship to a man? Because a lot of women, and that's what I was trying to explore earlier, the possibility that people may have, I won't say perverted, but misconstrued that role of woman to man, and they define themselves exclusively their selves based on relationship. Like the man might define himself exclusively on what he's able to make happen or attain. And so I'm wondering, what would you say to your younger self, or if that was the case, or if you can't envision that, what would you say to a younger person who is exploring the know thyself, and it's around exclusively being in relationship to a man for ladies, and for brothers, it's around what you believe you are based on what you do? Because a lot of brothers believe that they are based on what they do.
That's right.
They think they're on a journey to know themselves, but that closes off the emotional intelligence part of you if you're only relegated to what you do being equal to who you are. So that's what I want to explore a little bit. Can you tell me what you would say to young people that are saying, I got to be with a man, I got to get a man, I got a man, and that's how she is trying to define herself. She's defined by her ability to be with, to get, to attract a man.
Come on, Mama.
I think that is probably, unfortunately, the way many people live. Not just men, not just women, but men.
Yeah.
That the scope of their existence is connected to their love connection, whatever's going on in their love life. There's and I don't think that has an age. And so I would say that to my 20-something self, but I'd say it to my 50-something self.
Okay.
That the scope of who you are is not defined by your connection to another person. I think it always goes back to what Darren just said, and what we keep intimating, what we keep saying, that knowing the value, what I said today, knowing the value of yourself knowing who that is and that value is the best place to be. That's the best relationship to cultivate. Take yourself to dinner. Take yourself to the movies. Take yourself places that so that you know what you like. You can't help anybody be or know who you are if you don't know. And be able to say, I don't like those. I know too many women who end up at movies they hate because, well, he wanted to go see that. You didn't want to go see that. Find that place where you all can connect, know you. You don't have to have it your way. I'm not saying that. But if he likes horror and you hate it, then maybe you all can find that happy medium at mystery suspense and everybody's okay. But be able to say, I can't do that.
I don't like that. Yeah, that's not
and be okay if he says, well, I want to go see that. And you say, okay, I see you when you get back.
Yeah.
Or we go to the same movie theater at the same time and you go see the chick flick that you wanted to see, while that person goes to see that movie that they wanted to see. And then you get to come back together and talk about the things that you got from it, because they never want to see that and you never want to see that. But you got to know you well enough to be able to see that, and I saw what Ingrid just said, and you do have to ask, God, how to show you how to love yourself.
Agree.
Because you got to be able to see it through the lens of the one that's going to love you come what may. And so when you get there, and Lord knows it took, my God, took me decades to get here. Okay. And sometimes that foolishness rears its ugly head, and I just had to beat it back because now that that's just not where you want to be, where you're going to be. And so, but get that early. If you can get that loving yourself and knowing yourself and appreciating and valuing yourself at an early point, you won't have to take those dives. You won't have to find yourself like Alice in Wonderland, like going down the hole and then trying to scrape yourself back up. Yeah. That's what I say.
Okay. And Darren, I was going to ask you the same thing. There are brothers, they identify themselves based on the fraternity they're affiliated with, based on the college they graduated from, based on the job, based on the amount of money that they make. There are brothers that are in this pandemic who are unemployed and feeling like they are nothing because they don't have a job and they don't have the traditional way to earn income. Some of them are hustling to do the best that they can for their families, but they don't feel like they are enough because the orientation has been to say what you do is the second question that a man is typically asked. He's not asked how he feels. He's not often asked what he believes. He's asked what kind of work do you do, right? And so that becomes his orientation. What would you say to that young man about knowing himself, getting to that exploration about knowing himself?
First, let me shout out Brother Bilal. 18 minutes ago, he quoted, "It's not good for man to be alone." Preach there. That's my favorite scripture, Brother Bilal. Just let me put that out there.
Yeah, I was trying to skip over his comment.
Especially about my pajamas. I appreciate it.
The holes in the pajamas. So I said, let me just keep on.
It could be sexy holes, but I was trying to keep it PG. Okay, now
Well, that's why I was trying to, bring us back into a realm.
I was trying to be PG.
Yes.
No,
okay.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
That's okay. It's love and stuff.
I'm talking about the scripture. I'm sorry.
It's love and stuff. Go ahead.
I would add. I would frame this way. I would ask the brother if we can have a conversation with one question. That question is, who are you? Not talking about what you have, not talking about what you do,
Please.
Not talking about what you want. Because if you don't have anything, and if you're not doing anything, there's an existence that's there.
Who are you?
Who is it?
Yeah.
Who are you? And hopefully out of that can come the understanding, that we're not human havers and human doers.
Human havers.
We're human beings.
Yeah.
We're human givers.
Yes.
That's what I would want. That's what I would say.
Havers.
And how would you help him on that exploration? I think that was good. That could be a hashtag.
Not human havers.
How would you help him on that exploration? Because like I said, when you ask him, who are you?
Sure.
Well, I'm a father.
Sure.
I'm an alpha. I'm a homeowner. That's some of the questions that answers that a man might typically offer up. So how would you help a man drill into that to find out, okay, who am I really? Who am I?
I think extraction does it. And I mean by that, just as I said, take away, whatever the numbers are in your bank account, take away all of the possessions. See yourself with none of those things that you have defined you by. And who are you without those things?
That.
I think extraction is the way to get to that.
That's it.
I think that's good stuff.
It's fearful though. It's a fearful place.
It is.
And you gotta be strong enough to strip yourself to get there.
Yeah. I like
and
that.
Walking with the way you're actually setting it up, Marcus, I think is most important. Most people will need somebody to walk with them there.
Yeah.
They can't get there by themselves.
That's what
they will need somebody.
I was going to say something similar to that very thing, though, because it's almost like Jesus saying, "Who do men say that I am?" I would say to my friends, "Well, who am I?"
Who do you say?
Yeah.
Who do you say? To start to go down that path to say, "Okay, I know you know what I do. I know you know what I have." That aside, who am I to you?
But that's why it needs to be a mirror, Marcus.
Yeah.
That's the mirror question.
Yeah.
Who do you say?
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's important, and
yeah, it is.
I think though people don't have that support system or awareness, because we are defining ourselves by so many of the things. We're the human havers, right? The human doers. I think the men are both. I think the women are human doers. I think we're raising a generation of human havers where women say, "I got this person, I got that person, I have this, I have that." But men are a combination of the have and do instead of the being. We're creating an environment, a world where we place more value on the have and do than the be. And so then no one is on that authentic journey until they've shot shots in the wrong direction or missed a ton of shots, or went in overtime in the game and still didn't win the championship.
And out of ammunition.
Yeah, because they have gone, all their lives about getting the thing or whatever that is.
One of the things that when I was studying in communication and in interpersonal communication, one of the things that exercises we used to do, we talked about doing them with what my professor called your FLAM, your friend, lover, and or mate, where you had to, where you would take a list. You take a piece of paper, they did it in Why Did I Get Married? Janet Jackson's character did it in Why Did I Get Married? She did it a little differently, but we were taught to do that in interpersonal communication, to write down all of the good qualities and then write down all of those challenges and make a decision about whether the challenges were, as you said earlier, whether they were moldable, whether they were fixable, or whether or not they were innate. and they were just, stuck there, and whether you had deal breakers on that list.
Mm-hmm.
And so I believe you got to do that with you.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be able to know you well enough to write down all the stuff about you that's great.
Mm-hmm.
But all the stuff about you that you're challenged with.
Mm-hmm.
And then be able to say, what can I do something about over here?
Mm-hmm.
And if I can't do it, then the serenity prayer kicks in.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you got to say, if I can't change it, then I got to find a way to navigate living with it.
Mm-hmm.
And not allow it to be the thing that I hang over my head, that I'm now not worthy because I don't do that, or I'm now not, valuable because I still do that. You gotta find that thing. You really gotta shape it. It's work.
I think that's excellent. And I just would add to that, Valencia, because if anybody is like me, they may have a blind spot and you may not know that thing.
You're right.
That you need to address. So I need to take my list. I have a group of friends that we've been friends for 35 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to take my list, and periodically I say, you remember when we first met? Am I still that same person? What's different about me?
Mm-hmm.
Because I want to hear, am I evolving? Am I the same? Am I still as stubborn as I was when I was 14? Am I still as opinionated? Is my temperament any better? What are the things that are the same and or different? So I need that other voice to just say, oh, you forgot these things on your list of super great things. And by the way, there's one or two of those things that's not so great that you put on the list either. I need someone who has that permission in our relationship to confront me. And it's a brave exchange, because we have vulnerability and transparency and trust. So they can enter into that engagement and say, hey, you got a pretty good list, but you're missing 5 things.
It's Nathan David. It's Nathan David. You gotta have a Nathan.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a Nathan.
I think Christina was going to say something right before you do. Vicki Johnson Williams says it's like peeling an onion, and it's what under the layers to yourself. Very good. I want to get to Bilal's comment. I don't want him to think we're leaving him out tonight. Okay, y'all, but as men, we are not taught that way to strip the stuff away. It must be the pillar, the strong one, even in church, has even ingrained into a young man as the provider. So at a young age, we believe this is how it should be. And I had to read that comment because it's tugging at my heart. It's all of the discussion around the men's space that we're trying to create in Love and Stuff, that J. Gerald Harvey is in part tasked with. I know he's a busy brother, that we've asked Darren Williams to join into that effort, because we want a men's space. I've also talked to a couple of psychologists, our full psychologist. I went left in my mind because Dr. Alan Cushenberry was one of my mentors when I was first early in psychology. He just recently passed away. But some other psychologists who are going to be in that men's space, because you're right. Our orientation is not to do that. And so we're saying, do something that no one has ever taught you to do, is putting somebody in the kitchen and saying, now make that gourmet meal. And you're like, well, I've never even been told that I can be in the kitchen, right? That's not the place to be in the kitchen. So we got to kind of help people with tools and resources to just pivot and rethink about, because it's never too late to explore, to know thyself. It's never too late. And if you really think of the love consideration, as we say it here, our love with the Creator, his love for us, our response to that love includes a love for our neighbor and ourselves. So there's a real consideration about, how do we love ourselves? How has he instructed us around loving ourselves? And as to Ingrid's point, seeking him to understand how to love ourselves, but how has he also instructed us about loving ourselves, right? And so that part of this, we got to help brothers with, because I think I'm firmly believe that when you are your authentic self and you're on the journey to evolve into being, as Darren said, you are the most attractive, the sexiest, the most handsome to the person that is supposed to see it. It's when we are being inauthentic. It's when we are being the representative. It's when we are having and doing instead of being, that people can't see the true essence of who we are and then come to love that person. So we have to be about the business of finding that authentic flow of self, walking in it confidently, and living in it every day. And so we're committed here in the Love and Stuff community to helping brothers do that, because we got all these beautiful sisters and they're saying the brothers aren't shooting their shots. Well, the brothers are busy having and doing and not being. And we got to help them get to the being.
It's good, Marcus.
Christina, you were going to say something. I'm sorry.
You said it all. Thank you.
Bilal said I'm still opinionated. Okay.
I just had two quick ones. Was the question before about the women? I didn't answer that. What I learned was have standards. I didn't have any.
Okay.
So that goes along with what Mama V said, to learn yourself, to say, I don't like that horror or whatever, but never be afraid to start having standards and say no, because I'm gonna tell you something, it's helped me lately to say what, and then once again, learn what you love, learn what you like, and then you share it with that person or whatever, and then you accommodate each other. So that's that. But yes, I just learned, believe it or not, I'm 46, and I just learned probably about a year ago too, that I actually do have standards. And actually, guess what? Stick with them. Like, don't bend your standards.
Yeah.
Because your standards are you.
And I'm wondering, and I think it will be helpful, and you're pretty transparent. Christina, you're breathtakingly beautiful, right? You're a beautiful lady. And you've maintained that beauty, like Valencia's been Valencia's been this beautiful since I was a teenager.
When I tell you, gorgeous.
I'm wondering, I'm always surprised when I hear something like that, because I'm like, did you not know to have standards? Did you not know that that you are the prize, and most brothers will pay a king's ransom for that?
No.
So I'm always fascinated by that.
Yeah, we bend and we twist and we say, oh, okay. And then like Mama V said, we accept and stuff like that. And well, this is the line. And then you jump the line. It's like, oh, well, this is the line now. Oh, wait, this is the line. So it's not that we don't have, I didn't mean necessarily I didn't have any. I tried to reverb it. I learned to stick with them. And then I had to really learn, what are they? Like specifically, Christina, what do you like? What do you not like? What do you want? What you don't want? Like for real. And stick with it. Okay. That was, So we have them.
Yeah.
Just don't stick with them. We keep moving the line and bending around. But I want to say on the other question, or on the other part of the men, because I've been married, like I said, and lived with someone a long time. I learned that with the person that because I was taught, it's a stigmatism. You got to provide and protect and stuff like that. Well, not every man was taught that, provide or protect, or they were taught something else along that lines. And so I was not in a position to teach them different as the woman. So, and then they had to reach out to they didn't want to go to their brother or their father or their friend, because it might seem weak. You asking me, so it's a stigmatism. And I'm with Bilal saying, like, not everyone was taught a lot of things, and we do need the tools out here. But as the woman in the relationship, I could not teach him that. And he stuck with what he knew as he grew up, seeing his father or stepfather do or discipline the kids a certain way. And I say, well, why? My father disciplined us this way. Well, my father disciplined us that way. So it was an opinion, but be able to compromise and learn and understand that everybody don't have those tools. You have to be vulnerable and say, okay, he doesn't have those tools, or she doesn't have that tool. My mom taught us, I was raised in the house this way, and that might be the right way, but the other person might not agree that they think how they were brought up was the right way, because they were brought up by a single mother, and then you were brought up with a mom and a dad. So I had to learn compromising and being vulnerable. You have to take a step back.
Okay. I want to jump in. I know Mama V has a comment. Ingrid says, accountability partner, trust. Michael Kim, welcome, sir. Accountability partner. Ingrid, I think you're saying yes to accountability partner. I don't think you're saying yes that I'm still opinionated. I'm going to tell you to get out of here. Bilal says, for me, I am authentic because I don't want anything fake. Okay. Is there something wrong with bending for the right person? I do want to address that. That's a great question after Mama V. But while says Christina, that's good. So Mama V, I'm sorry, you were going to say.
I want to read something. I'm a big Zora Neale Hurston scholar. And so the beginning of Their Eyes Are Watching God puts what we're talking about in some perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what she writes. She writes, ships at a distance have every man's wish on board.
Mm-hmm.
For some, they come in with the tide. For others, they sail forever on the horizon, never out of sight, never landing until the watcher turns his eyes away in resignation, his dreams mocked to death by time. That is the life of men.
Mm-hmm.
Now, women forget all those things they don't want to remember and remember everything they don't want to forget. The dream is the truth. Then they act and do things accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
And she was 1937, but on it. We're even right now.
Mm-hmm.
That looking at how, so the bending happens. No, there's nothing wrong with bending, but not bending to the point where there's no one to catch you when you break, because you're doing all of this bending. But again, for us, the dream is the truth. And so as long as that's still the dream, we're going to do everything we can to shape whatever it is into what that dream is, even at our own, at our own cost. Mm-hmm. And then we wake up and say, I need a new dream.
Right.
And then he's clueless because he doesn't know when we broke.
Right.
Because we didn't share that.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't share.
We was going with the flow. Yeah.
And then you wake up one day and say, enough.
But sometimes, guess what? Bending for the right person is good, but it's the other person bending for you.
Like Ingrid just said, bend together. And if we can bend together, that's fine.
But yeah, we're going to put some in.
When the ship at a distance is all he can see, then you're doing all the bending to make it last. And then
I had an exercise. My husband was on, his back was against mine. And when I moved, he was supposed to move. Well, he kept standing there. So I was basically by myself. I was moving alone. And my dad said, no, y'all have to keep your backs. And when I moved this way, he had to move that way. When he moved, I had to. So you got to move together. If you're going to move together. If you're going to bend together. It should not be the moving and the bending of one side, because they're going to get tired, like I said. And that bending became a break. And the break, I moved on. Okay. So, yeah, you can. And I love that, Mama V. That was good.
Yeah. And I think if you're bending, you should be bending for the good of the whole and not the good of the one.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
But we don't always see that, Marcus.
Mm-hmm.
And just we see the bending as keeping the unit together. Because a lot of times women are that nurturing yet analytical thing kicks in. And we're trying to hang in there and bend because we're hopeful that they'll see the movement. And often when your eyes are on the prize, when you're just focused on the doing, thank you for that, and the having and the getting, and not the being, because the being again has not been culturally supported. There's no support culturally for men being, because their being is connected to their having, their doing, their, and so they don't get to shape that as they should.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to articulate that you did so well, that we've gotten away from what Pastor Darren was talking about, that, God created man and gave him a job. I think we got lost in having that job was around the having and the doing and not the being. We got lost in that. And our whole society is lost in that, right?
Because we got bamboozled. We got bamboozled by an enemy who bamboozled both people.
Yeah.
And bamboozled the man into having to work by the sweat of his brow and the woman into, as the Bible says, wanting what he wants, wanting him. And so if you believe the biblical narrative, then what the choices were shaped us into this. And we've got to make some intentional decisions to reshape the narrative for our lives. Because if we don't.
Yeah. And even more so, I think, of course, in the African-American diaspora, of course, our diaspora in Love and Stuff is broad. So we have people of all walks and ethnicities and nationalities. But within the African-American diaspora, because part of our doing and having is that we could only have and get the scraps, and that we'd always have second best. And so there's a whole psyche around that, right? That has nothing to do with being God's greatest creation, or being God's son, or being, any of the things that God has bestowed upon us to be. So, all of that and some, right? Becomes a part of this unlearning what we learned, really, to go along that journey.
Deprogramming is what I think it is more than anything. It's a deprogramming.
Yeah.
But it's got to be intentional. If it's not intentional,
I agree.
We got to know. If it's not intentional, we won't make it.
Yes. And thank you, Dion Falconer, for joining us. We got elected officials joining. Go on, Dion. Listen, we talked to our younger selves. I started and I had shared and some of it with Valencia. I want to ask you a few of these as we are at 9:53. I'm Jay Gerald retelling me watch the time. So I'm watching, Jay Gerald, if you're watching. I'm watching my time. But there are a couple of things that I shared at the outset, and I want to ask you. Let me phrase it this way. Have you ever stayed in a relationship too long or longer than you should have because you didn't want to be alone?
Yes.
Christina's saying, yeah. I'm asking all three of you. Christina's like, yes, out the gate. What about the other two?
Say it again.
Have you ever stayed in a relationship longer than you should have, or too long because you were lonely, or you had a fear of being lonely?
No, for me.
No.
I'm going to say that I'm guilty of using somebody because I wanted the attention and the time.
Yeah. That's
whatever you want to, I guess put in something for maybe lonely.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Definitely not desperate, but yeah.
If you're lonely or affection starved, you hang on.
You want somebody to be there.
Don't want to be lonely.
And I think, Darren, you were saying at the outset that you were the opposite. You were just going, from game to game, from show to show. Gotcha. Okay.
Why are you singing that song, Darren?
Have you ever wanted to be in love so much that you were biased against the evidence that you saw? So you saw red flags, but you wanted to be in love. You're like, he ain't really raising his voice. He's just passionate. He's not yelling at me. Or she didn't really mean to, because a woman could hit you or punch you, and it might not be considered any kind of abuse. A woman could call you names. You might not consider that abuse. That's just, a man would take it. But you might say, you would say, oh, that's not that bad. It was just a little lie. It was just, it was his ex-girlfriend. They had something special.
Let me change the language.
Situations, but I cut it off. Like, I seen the red flag and I was like, good day. I've been in it, but I didn't stay for it.
Okay.
I changed the relationship the language just a little bit. Instead of wanting to be in love so much, rather than wanting to be in a relationship so much that I ignored what I saw. And there's a very nuanced difference there. Many people can see it the same, and for many it may be the same, but in my case, it was wanting the relationship so much that I saw everything coming, walked straight into it. Literally, not denial. That's not really what I'm saying. Knowing exactly what I saw, but I wanted the relationship, and so come on.
Okay.
Yes. So that's my
Period, Pooh.
My
No.
question is yes.
Yes. Okay. I also, have you ever constructed narratives that connected the dots so that it would seem like you were meant to be with that person? Like if you had a list of things you prayed and asked the Lord for and said, this, and that person showed up was this, and this. You're like, it must be because
That happened to me, but the person was married.
Still.
I was
No
like,
for me.
this is
No.
it. Then I was like, ugh.
okay.
But
No.
Christina, and I'm on that page with you. Still,
Yeah.
you will shape in your mind how it can get worked out.
Yeah, but you be like, that ain't it.
Yes. Yes.
But yes.
Yes.
That's PK. That's a PK.
And I be like, dang, the gay, they got the gay sold up, the light skinned men gone, the good men married. That be me. Dang.
Yeah.
You know.
And even I had shared at the outset, Darren, not as a true commentary on evangelical prophets, but sometimes prophets will say, that's going to be your wife.
Yeah.
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 And there's no confirmation to it. And so now you start to construct a
Believe.
story how this must be your wife.
This is the wife. They say.
Or this is going to be your husband. And you start to say, well, he does go to church and he does have a job and he does have a house.
That's him.
House in foreclosure. He about to get fired from the job.
Mark.
He doesn't go to church. But because the prophet said it, you start to construct it. Or your parent says, I really like her. And she
Together.
and this. And then you start to construct a narrative. Oh, well, that, yeah, I could, yeah. And you start to make it seem like it's supposed to be.
Sometimes it's them, Marcus.
Yeah.
So let me go there.
Most times it's them.
Let me go there.
But look, for me, let me, as saved as I am, as long as I've been saved, and as much as I love God and as committed as I am to my call,
Come on.
it has always been true for me that the spiritual test has been the last one. So the last thing that comes into play with me as in terms of she being the one, the spiritual thing is the last one.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. And I could give you at least two stories. One I think is funnier than the other, and you could check with members of my group who are staying with me. We were in a worship experience that most people would say was very high spirited, and miracle signs and wonders did follow. An out of town prophet woman prophesied that she was my wife.
Oh wow!
In the church.
Okay.
And people in that church latched on to that. And I said, you got to be ridiculously kidding. That you would think that God would only speak to her and have nothing to say to me about it.
See that?
And confirm it in no way at any
Not one way. Not one side.
And then other false voices tried to come to confirm it. And they were all one by one cast down. So the devil loves to do attacks.
Okay.
The devil loves to do attacks on the front end with me. I don't know what that is, but that's the first run. I'm like, well, wait a minute. I'm gonna try the spirit by the spirit.
Okay.
I'm getting hot.
I know, right?
And so, but people who heard that prophecy, latched onto it and thought, okay, so you know, are you going to
wanted to see it too? They wanted to see it too.
And you can want to see, that's good. Are you going to move to another city? You going to move to another state? Or she's going to move here? I'm telling you, it was, people were literally, and then other prophets were coming behind and saying, now remember the word of the Lord. I'm like,
not the word of the Lord.
That wasn't what I said, but that wasn't the word of the Lord.
And see that for me again, it's the word of the Lord that puts the spiritual test or approval lasts for me. Why? Because as I understand the scripture, as I read the scripture, it says a man who finds a wife
It's a good thing.
finds a good thing. That's number one.
Oh no.
And obtains favor from the Lord. So that what I find in the choice I make, then God says.
Yeah.
And now I don't discount that for other people, that praying and asking God for a mate and that some divine connection comes into play for them to get together. I don't discount that for them.
Right.
What I'm saying is, in Darren Brenton Williams' experience, that is not how it has been.
Yeah.
But somebody put in the comments physical first.
And because that's what you meet first.
Oh,
man.
And that's what you go to bed with. That's what you look at first when you get up.
Well,
that's where the work is gonna go.
For me, that's
we getting real, y'all. Come on.
that's in part true. I've met.
Somebody say which Lord?
I've met some beautiful women.
Yeah.
Who didn't have an iota upstairs. And for me, if you don't stimulate me mentally, you're never going to stimulate me physically. And so, there does have to be some chemistry, however that chemistry manifests itself. I don't disagree with that, but I'm just saying people will prophesy you into some stuff.
Yes.
And Jesus ain't even talking to them. God help them. Jesus ain't talking to them, let alone talking to them about me. And so I'm just saying what I'm saying, because I know I'm looking at some of the comments. I'm just saying what I'm saying. I'm just saying what I'm saying.
It's true, Doc. It's true.
Yeah. Can I say one word?
Yes.
Discernment.
Period. Point blank, period.
Well,
yeah. The most important gift in the day and time that we're in, the most critical and crucial.
Yeah.
On every level. Yes. Yes, ma'am, Mama V.
Yes.
Discernment. Discernment will tell you when it's time to hurry up and get off that road.
Yeah.
Discernment will tell you whether that road is leisure but leading nowhere.
Attempt.
And discernment will tell you, hold up, wait a minute. This might be.
This might be.
Right. Drive at an even pace.
And that's going to dovetail into the last one of these. We sometimes we get caught up in the swell of emotions. So if someone is not paying attention to discernment, Holy Spirit is speaking, right? It's like Oprah said, it's like first you feel that hair on the back of your neck, then you feel that thump like your grandmother thumps you on the head to remind you of something. Then it's like a brick wall falling on you. That voice gets louder and bigger and more dominant so that you can hear it. But sometimes we're in the swell of the emotions. We're in love with the ideal of being in love, and maybe for Darren, and the idea of being in a relationship. That sometimes we ain't stunting, as my dad would say. We ain't stunting discernment because we are locked into the idea of being in the swell of how you make me feel. Christina's came back to me, Christina, with the holy pajama bottoms. We locked into the feeling of all of those things, how somebody makes us feel, how we feel about it, that we forget that there is a voice telling us this is what's wrong.
Yeah, this ain't it.
Run fast, turn around, about face, detour, next.
But discernment does click with standards, because you're gonna say, this ain't me. I don't want to do this.
Unless you sometimes, Christina, in the swell of the emotions. That's what Ingrid is talking about. No discernment when flesh is on fire.
But I don't know if that's emotion or not. I don't think that's emotion all the time. I don't think that's emotion all the time at all.
I've been in there, Miss Ingrid. I I've been there, and I still was like, "This ain't it."
But the thing is, and I hear you, Ingrid, and discernment will go out of the window when flesh is on fire, but that's not emotions.
That's not emotions. That's
and grown folks got to be able to say, I got caught up in what that is.
Yeah.
And that didn't necessarily have anything to do with emotions.
Yeah, that's just you just hot. You just
and don't get me, like I said, we keep it real. It does happen.
It does.
Nobody's trying to act as if they listening to the voice of the Spirit all the time. Folks ain't always listening.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But I think that we go back to what Darren said at the very beginning. What is that lust going to cost you? And is it worth the expense you have to pay for it?
Yes.
And if your answer is yes, and hear me clearly, if your answer is yes, then own that.
That's right. That's right.
That this was expensive, but I was willing to give up, that I was willing to do that. And that goes back all the way to what we've been saying all night. When you know yourself, when you clearly know you know when this is lust, and I just said, okay, I'm rolling with this.
Yeah.
You know when it's potential. And what Mom and them said a long time ago is true. It's real hard to buy the cow when the milk is free. It really, really is. It really, really is. You may eventually buy the cow, but it's hard to get there.
Yes.
Because why I got to go through all of this when I only had to do that?
Yes.
Okay?
And that's that lonely stuff too. You say, that goes
lonely.
all with it, being lonely or being a little bit desperate for some attention and time. Needy.
Folks need affection.
Surely.
Folks need affection.
Yes. Say it.
And affection is real. And sometimes in order to get the, and catch this, don't miss it. In order to get the affection you want, you got to give up what it is they want.
Yes.
That you don't want. You
don't necessarily want all of that, but you
want a piece.
It'll get you what you want.
Transaction
you want a piece.
Relationship you in right now.
It'll get you what you want.
Mama be sad.
Transaction.
Yeah. Let me go back to the comments. That's some good stuff.
Transaction means that you getting the discount, and
That's right. That's right.
You getting what you want out the deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes
but know that that's what you're doing.
Yeah. David Carter, thanks for joining us. Says, good looking house with nobody upstairs. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Right.
Some not acting grown. Yeah, you're right, Ingrid. So that's part of the evolution that we hope that we will. The lust is a costly beast most times. I agree with you. Couldn't agree with you more, Mike Flanoyle. Absolutely. Michelle Pryor says, say that. Thank you, Michelle Pryor, for joining us. Patrick has joined us as well. Thank you all for joining. We're talking with Darren Williams, Valencia Edner, Mama V, and Christina Smith. And we're talking about if you knew back then what you know now, what would you do differently? Or what would you tell your younger self? What would you tell your younger self? Yes, Darren, you were going to say.
I was going to say on the piece of discernment too, that the most natural, the purest, and the strongest discernment comes from that one who knows themselves.
It is.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Because that's what we're saying.
Well, that's what. Yes, it's actually. But I wanted to put it in a way that was easily accessible for everybody to understand that.
Yeah, because it's coming from that.
Mostly when people are talking discernment, they're thinking spiritual discernment, a gift of the Spirit, and of course that there is that
in you,
and we need that. Absolutely, totally, completely pure. But when that is met with the discernment of know thyself, which is where your standards come from, which is where your deal breakers come from, which is where all of that other stuff that we talk, when it comes out of that, that's when, even when the lust is a factor, and lust becomes a factor, and a multiple, and a sum, and whatever other mathematical expression, when lust becomes a being, that's when the ability to be able to stand up against it, to walk away from it, to be able to name it, to call it and to be able to be okay with going any other direction.
Yeah.
And now I can say that Brother Marcus gave us a 30-year time frame. I can say that 30 years later, because 30 years before I was experiencing the lesson that I have learned now 30 years later. I ain't know it then because I didn't know me then.
Yeah. And that's what I think is so important to share, because there are groups of people that are going down a path that we've already been, right? And we can help to inform them. And then there are groups of people that are not on a journey of self-knowing, which is the best journey, whether it is in preparation in your mind, you're preparing for a marriage or relationship. It's important for every relationship, which we want to express in love and stuff. It is not just the marriage. I know it's National Spouses Day, right? But it's not just the marriage. It's every relationship.
Yeah.
Requires you really to bring the authentic self to it. If you don't know who the authentic self is, then you're struggling to bring anything to a relationship to make it healthy, right?
Any relationship.
Every relationship, I'd like to say it that way. Every relationship requires you bring in your authentic self.
Sure.
And it sets the standard for how you're treated in that relationship, and hopefully how you treat the other person, out of you knowing your authentic self and loving yourself, right? That measure that we mete out love to our neighbor is the love that we have for ourselves. Then we got to really be intentional about what that love looks like and what are the outcomes and impacts of that love on self, right? And so I think this is important information to share. Of course, Autumn is taking notes, she says, and all of her friends, I hope, and other 20-somethings and 30-somethings. But even for the folks that are, as Mama V said earlier, even if you're Mama V's young, seasoned, sexy mama age, because she got suitors, you still need to be on the journey of self.
Yeah.
Knowing
it's
yourself.
Never too late.
Yes. Even if you think that you're just starting that journey, even if you think you are just starting that journey, that you should be about that journey of knowing yourself. I think that's important. Let me go back. Yep, go ahead.
Brother Marcus, what you pay attention, the people that people are most genuinely attracted to in life are not necessarily the most attractive people, but it is the people who are the most self-assured, who know themselves.
Yeah.
Because majority of people don't know themselves. When they meet somebody who is that self-assured, that's who most people are genuinely attracted.
That is attractive.
It is definitely attractive.
Yeah. I say it this way, Darren. When I'm doing Passion Fridays, I tell people you are most attractive when you are sitting in the center of yourself, living out your passion. You are sexy when you're doing that.
It can be, Mama V. I'm with her. It can be intimidating.
It can be.
But
for yourself, yeah.
To fake people, it is intimidating.
It can be overwhelming, but there is still a part of it that you are drawn to. Still
attracted to.
You're still attracted to them. You might be afraid to shoot your shot, and we're going to have to write all those your shots down so that you all will have that. Shoot your shot and know yourself. We're going to have to do a workshop. You hear me, Mama V? You hear me? We got to get our workshop materials together.
I shot my shot. Shoot your shot. Hey.
Shoot your shot, because I think it's important. And while I agree wholeheartedly with the good preachers in here, I wouldn't bring on preachers that I didn't think were good preachers. Let me just say that. But
come on.
Here he go again, Valencia. Here he go again.
Always.
I'm with it that the man finds the wife, but the wife ought to be wifely, ready to be found. And I still say you can shoot your shot. Again, you're going to shoot the ball in the area that man is in, and he is going to either do an assist, a rebound, or he going to double back to
foul. Yeah, he might be foul.
You don't have to do nets. You don't have to do the 3-pointer, but you must to put the ball in play.
Hey, I shot my
The
shot.
alley-oop. The alley-oop.
And some work and some don't.
Yeah.
But shoot your shot.
But see, you need a better coach because the coach will help you get the ball in play with the right rhythm.
Yeah.
Start
Play
playing.
it up.
Yeah.
There's the shirt. Shoot your shot. Hashtag alley-oop.
That's
That's the shirt.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alley-oop.
We'll have that out very soon.
Do a finger roll or something. I sure do. The tennis, whatever, the tennis ball or whatever, I put it right in your court. Boop, and see what happens.
Yeah. And
is it coming back?
We're going to have to weave into this workshop, of course. It's important that you know what game you're playing.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
And what position you should
play. Wait, let me scoot up.
Correct. Okay. You got to know if you're a power forward.
You on the bench.
Or if you on the bench.
And you got to follow some coaching.
Yes.
There it is.
And if you're a franchise player, you still got to have a coach.
You got to follow some coaching.
Sure do.
So yeah,
and you gotta know the plays. Is this man-to-man defense, or is it the triangle? What we doing here?
Yeah. Kyle Williams is saying this is a great discussion. Have it playing on my television. There is even closed caption. Thank you, Kamal.
Right there. Yeah. What game you playing? That's it.
Yeah, I think it's important. I just don't, because of the number of sisters that are saying, hey, I'm waiting for a husband, or, I'm waiting for the opportunity, and you should be waiting to be chosen, but you can strategically position yourself. It's called being assertive, not aggressive.
Absolutely.
Strategically say that this ball is in motion, but you need to be ready to play that game. Now, don't get in the game if you're not ready.
Yeah, get ready.
Be careful of playground game and regulation game.
Wow.
Sometimes playing b-ball on the park.
Come on.
And you got to know the difference between playing at the park, and playing in the gym.
Yeah,
real game.
Yeah,
where it counts.
And I think that ties into that perfectly. That knowing yourself, you got to know who you are.
What's your skill?
Knowing the game, you got to know whether or not you belong in the gym or the park.
Yep.
And that's from knowing thyself, right? Yeah. So we got some workshop work.
You know they're supposed to be in the gym, but they are to play on the playground.
Out of shape.
Hurt on the playground because the game is different.
Yeah.
Rules are different.
And the people are.
And the people are
different. Yeah.
It's all good b-ball. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But you gotta know.
That's some good stuff.
Supposed to be on.
I agree.
Well, it is 10:20. This has been a wonderful show. We started.
I knew this morning it was a mess.
It's National Spouses Day, so I'm gonna tell you one more time. If you are married or significant other, life partner, kiss your spouse right now. Then tell them that Love and Stuff said, "Kiss me back the way that you first kissed me." And inbox, drop in the comments. Let us know what happened. Let us know if that was a
shout out to spouses.
Yeah.
Yes. Shout out to spouses.
Please say Bilal's last comment.
That's why I have a home gym. You can't get in unless I give you a key. Nobody like Bilal. That's all I can say. Nobody like Bilal. Nobody like Bilal. Ingrid says he's at work. Hiya. Well, Ingrid, I love that you are still in the Love and Stuff community. Ingrid is married. She came on very early with us when you all weren't believing me about pheromones and the supermarket. I'm still standing by it. I'm still standing by it.
Oh, for sure. Pheromones is for real.
Ladies, you should go to the supermarket. Go on a Saturday morning, or if you're trying to get, as one sister told me, I'm trying to get a good plant man. If that's your vision for your life, as a good plant man, go there before the afternoon shift or after. That's right. Myers is open 24 hours. And go and be your natural aroma self. You know what that means, ladies.
Right.
And go down the aisle, Get a melon, hold that melon up to that brother and say, can you squeeze this melon? Or if you don't feel like you have that kind of courage about you, go to an aisle and say, I'm sorry, sir, can you reach that? That's a little high. Just, can you help me?
Yeah, that part.
Both of those have worked. People have come back and told me they worked.
Okay.
Ingrid says she took a lot of your advice.
And Ingrid was just open mostly. She had closed off her mind to some opportunities. So maybe he is available and looking, but you're not open.
Correct.
Yeah,
And
you're
so
not
Ingrid
open.
just became open, and boom. And I do mean boom. And so we're gonna have them on. It wasn't she didn't follow a Love and Stuff 101. I think the main thing she did was she was open. She was open where she hadn't been before. You know, ladies, how it is. A guy is speaking to you and you won't even give him eye contact. What I'm trying to tell you is he may not be the one, but his brother or his cousin or his home friend might be the one. And how you treat him determines if he is the connector to that other individual. Don't block your own blessing by not making eye contact with somebody for him to say, oh, you cute, I got a brother. You cute, I got a cousin.
Yep.
Don't not make eye contact with the cashier in the store because you're so busy trying to buy whatever it is you're buying at the store. You don't look up at him for him to look at you and say, oh, you kind of pretty. Are you single? Oh, my brother is single. He might be married. He might have a brother that's single. You have to be open.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you never know where that opportunity is coming, going to bear the path.
Very
Absolutely.
true.
Love.
Which means you have to be alert.
Yeah, I think love is.
Yeah.
I think love is lurking. You might not put those two words together often, but I think love is just looking for places to find, to bring people together. Love is an open portal down every street and avenue. It's whether or not, as Mama V said, are we awakened to it? Are we alert?
Mm-hmm.
Because it might tell you, keep going down the street. It's a blessing at the end.
Mm-hmm.
You see something good and you might be like, I'm going to stop here. And God's like, no, I'm just pointing you the way. Keep going.
I'm helping you raise your standards
on the way.
Raise some standards.
Keep going straight. Don't turn left. Don't turn right. Keep going straight. And you might be awakened to the best love experience that you will ever have. But you have to be open. And so that's what Ingrid was. And boom, she was open. That guy found her. And she is as happy as can be. You heard her speaking in tongues in there. She said, hiya.
And boom-a-loom.
Yeah.
Boom-a-loom.
That Ingrid. Boom.
Yeah.
You gotta be vulnerable too. You have to be vulnerable. You have to open yourself to things that you never have done before.
That's the risk.
You do.
Yeah. Well, you've never done it before. Well, try it.
Yeah.
It might be something that might work out for you because you stay in your comfort zone and you in your own little gremlin shell. Get out.
Yeah. And be aware while you're out.
Yeah. Be aware. Watch the flag.
Standing at the bus stop.
Yeah.
Great story. Standing at the bus stop, guy and girl are standing there and she wasn't going to give him the time of day. And she said, oh, he was handsome and smelling good, but he riding the bus with me. Well, his car was in the shop. And he had to take the bus that day. They got on the bus and they rode the bus together and they started talking. And she was like, I almost wasn't going to sit with you. He said, yeah, I kind of felt that. They exchanged numbers. And a year later, they were engaged to be married. Mm-hmm. Her first thought was, how I'm going to be with and she said the N word, which I don't use that word. She said, how I'm going to be with an N person who is riding a bus like me. But you just never know. Be open.
He might be saving his money to buy a house. Because my dad told me one time, he said, not every guy with a nice car, you might not want that because he got to pay that car note. You might want a guy with a whole little nice little pickup with a nice engine, and then he got a nice Honda on the side over there, and he got money in the bank though.
Yeah.
And then y'all together can grow and get that nice car and house and all. Don't just because he don't have that charger. I know somebody got a charge. They put it in the garage because the gas was too much. So guess what? They bought a Honda for $1,500 and drove it every day to the plant. So this girl, oh, you got a Honda, but he had a charger in the garage. Okay, because he was saving his gas money. So don't think that just because, like you said, Marcus, they're riding the bus, they might be saving their money, or they might have investments, or they might feel like they're a frugal spender. And the bus is more. I know some people sold their car and ride the bus. So yes, I agree.
And Bilal says, Marcus, do you suggest I go to the store and ask the young lady to squeeze the melon? No, Bilal, no, I don't suggest that for you. I suggest that you just go to the store and just take a smell of the aroma.
Be aware.
And be aware. Alert.
If there is any aroma that leads you down a certain aisle, I want you to just go down that aisle and be your authentic self.
Yeah.
Be your authentic self, Bilal, and come back and report it back to us. I don't want you going down there and say, I watched this show called Love and Stuff and they told me to squeeze the melons. I don't want you to do that.
That's me. But if you can't be vulnerable, you're not going to do it. You got to say, I'm about to go over there and approach this woman and smell.
No, you can just now, Christina. Most women, Darren, tell me if I'm wrong. Most women, if you walk past them,
yes, there
have an aroma.
Yeah, there's a pheromone.
Yes.
Oh yes.
Yes. Most.
Yes. I've had guys tell me, "Oh, you smell nice." Oh, what's that? And it's the I don't know. So I think it's this. Yeah, it's a woman. It is a woman's.
It is indeed. It is a gift. It is a gift from God.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so a man that understands that understands that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's right.
And a man that doesn't, we want to invite him into men's space so we can help him on this journey.
Help him.
There is help.
There is help. And there is love. And there are really great people in our Love and Stuff community, as you're seeing 3 of them today. And it's a great place, I think, for you to hang out with us. So I appreciate those of you who have hung out. We're right at 10:30, which has made this a 2-hour special. So next week, I want you to tune in because we're getting back into we did a little bit of this, but we're going to have our pairs of couples. We're going to call them couples, but we're not putting people together. We'll let them.
And allow my couple.
We're going to have them in the breakout rooms, and they're going to be answering the 36 questions that lead to love. And then we're going to talk to them in a 2-part series starting Tuesday and the following Tuesday. Okay, what did you learn about the other individual? What did you see in the body language? Did you believe the answers? Do you feel like you know that person more? Would you like to get to know that person more? Do you have some critique for that person about how they might approach other people? So that in the hopes that we're all sharing some good wealth of information on this journey to love. So it's these 36 questions that lead to love. It's a 2-part series. It's going to take us close into what? Valentine's Day. So we'll tell you a little bit more about what we have planned for that wonderful time. But we're going into this 2-part series about 36 questions that lead to love. If you're interested in being a part of the breakout room, it won't be a smorgasbord. So you won't get to say, yes, this one and no, that one. Everybody's going to rotate. So if you don't want to be a part of a rotation, this probably isn't the time. We can work out something different. But this time you're going to get a chance to meet every woman is going to talk to every guy, and they're going to rotate and ask questions. It'll just be the 2 of you in the breakout room. And then you'll come out of the breakout room and have discussion where everybody can see it. So you'll have your own time separate from everybody watching. So you won't have to feel nervous. You can just be asking each other the questions and taking your own notes. Then we want you to share with us what was the experience like. So if you're interested in doing that, absolutely inbox us at Love and Stuff or Marcus Our Homes or anywhere on all of the platforms so that we can get you ready to participate in that. And some of the very people that are here right now will be participating. I am excited, and I think it will be a great time. So I
sound like speed dating.
The difference is
I'm kind of kidding.
no. You might be prophesying, Reverend. So we just gonna see. We just gonna see. I'm gonna let that linger. I'm gonna let discernment. I'm gonna let that linger. I'm gonna let that be.
Discernment. Okay.
That's my let it be sign.
Okay.
Bilal says, what has he gotten himself into? He is one of the folks that will be in there. So I think it's going to be great. I think if nothing else, you're going to find out whether you will open up or whether you won't, because there are questions that some deepen, right? And so they'll ask questions and you'll see whether you'll open up or not, or be like, that's a stupid question. I'm not answering that. Maybe that will be your response. Hopefully it won't, but we'll see. I'm excited about the opportunity. Okay, Kamal says aroma, that's just as bad. You know what I meant. Pheromones, you know what I mean. Y'all, my brother knows what I mean. Natural chemistry, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, thank you, Valencia Etner, Darren Williams, and Christina Smith. Before we go, just one last thing that you will share. Yes, let love spread like a pandemic. You can order that now. Thank you, Christina. One thing that you will tell millennials that might tune in, or that you have shared, the most important lesson that you have learned about love. And it doesn't have to just be, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, bae and boo relationship, but what have you learned about love that you know now that you wish you knew back then? I'm going to start with Christina.
Love yourself first.
Okay. Right. I love it. Short and to the point. Okay. Darren Williams.
Thank you for being here. Christina, good to meet you and be on here with you. Valencia, you are the best. My word to us all, love never fails.
Love never fails. Okay. All right. Valencia, Mama V.
Don't be so set on what you think that you miss what's really there.
Yeah. And I would just say, of the things I shared earlier, I know for people who love, and I love, and people who love to be in love, and I would love to be in love. As you heard Bilal said, I'm opinionated and all those other things. And as Darren said, be in relationship. I love to be in relationship. But don't get caught up in the swell of emotions that you don't understand what you're really in. Because some of what you're really in ain't so much love. Nope. It's just the swell of emotions. And those emotions are good when they're good, but when they're not. So I would tell my younger self that, because I love the idea of love, and love is just love. But at the end of the day, is it love? Or are you locked into the swell of the emotions and the feelings and the accoutrements that might be attached there too?
Yes.
Thank you all so much for coming to Love. I hope you will click share
Kamal,
to join us.
Kamal, can we just say, Kamal, you married? You don't get to say that. Okay.
So first of all,
when I read that, I was like, oh.
I'm done on National Spouses Day with the married folks talking about wait until you get married.
Go on and get married. Go on, be married, y'all married people. Be married. Good night.
I'm going to single people alone.
You don't tell us to wait until did you wait? That's what I'm asking. Did you wait? Why are you telling me to wait?
Ouch. Look at the time.
Look at the time. How the time is flowing. What was your mattress saying before you got there?
All right. All right. Good night, y'all. Good night.
Good night.
It's testimony service. No, it's not. It's not. I love Kamal with all that's within me. He knows that. But no.
Good night, Marcus. Good night,
I felt
Christina.
some kind of way. I was like, wait a minute now. Thank you so much. What a wonderful show. I hope you will click share. I know it's a 2-hour special, but click share. We started this show based on a show that happened a few years ago where we talked about talking to our younger selves. And I hope that you will think about your younger self. And I hope that you will share with some younger person the lessons that you've learned about love. And you might start it by saying, if I knew back then what I know now, and finish it with giving them some great advice from the lessons that you learned, especially if one of those lessons is to know and love yourself. I'm Marcus Holmes, and it is my honor and my privilege and pleasure to facilitate a wonderful community. The Love and Stuff community is the best community I've ever joined on Facebook, and I've joined some great communities. It's a place where you can come and share your thoughts and opinions and perspectives and be informed on those thoughts, opinions, and perspectives with the goal of upping your love game, of your love consideration for the quintessential, the creator, God, who is love, who poured his love into us, who writes chapters of love to and about us, and who wants for us to love him back freely, not coerced, but of our own free will and volition. And then to love our neighbors as ourselves. I want to ask you this question. Are you loving you? Do you know you? Loving you and knowing you is a wonderful journey. And if you aren't embarking upon it every day, you're missing the best part of your love consideration in this earth school, because every measure of love that you give out is a reflection of you loving yourself and knowing yourself. Join us on the journey. We're all progressing in a process and not perfect. We're all moving toward a better love, a better self. Join us by upping your love game, clicking follow on the Love and Stuff page, and joining us on a wonderful journey. It may for you foray into a love relationship like Ingrid Poole, who is now married, or Arnaldo Jimenez and Gabby, who, congratulations, were recently married, or Sonia Charisse and Kim Wilson and others who are engaged to be married. It also may result in you cultivating richer relationships in your family and those within the circle of relationships in your life. It's worth the time. It's worth the journey. It's worth the risk of love. And we hope to see you on the journey. Click share, tag someone to join us in the discussion, and keep the discussion going by putting comments down below. And we will see you at some point throughout the journey. Again, as we go, there's a ton of merchandise on the Love and Stuff page. You saw Christina modeling some. I have some on myself. You can purchase it. It'll be shipped right to your door. And if you're interested in being a part of the 2-part series, 36 Questions That Lead to Love, join us by inboxing me at Love and Stuff, and you can participate in the breakout rooms that we will have for the next 2 weeks. And then we will come and share with the entire community. Have a grateful evening.